Hello, everyone. My name is Sergio Guerrero Ramirez, and for this debate, I will currently speak on President Trump's Executive Order 14159, and I will start right now. During Trump's term in 2025, President Trump and his administration announced Executive Order 14159, or in other words, protecting the American people against invasion. President Trump's purpose for this executive order is to directly oversee immigration and engage in mass deportation of those that are considered undocumented. There is a split view of this executive order among the American people, with supporters defending this order as an act to combat hostile immigrants, while those that oppose find this act morally unjust for those affected by this order. I do not agree with this executive order as it promotes discrimination, violates human rights, and goes against the principle of America being a free nation to those seeking asylum. Enforcing this policy will create broken families, affect the economy, and rights to be infringed among tax-paying residents of the U.S. A policy should not instill fear for those seeking asylum, and instead should provide a legal process for those seeking to find a safe haven residing in America. Programs such as DACA and work visas are examples of programs that help benefit those that are willing to participate in the American democracy. President Trump and his administration have introduced this executive order as a supposed justice for the American people to be protected by so-called dangers of undocumented immigrants. In the Federal Register, President Trump refers to undocumented citizens as significant threats to national security and public safety, committing violent and heinous acts against innocent Americans, and that those undocumented engage in espionage or terror-related activities. President Trump's remarks promote fear-mongering towards undocumented citizens, and he utilizes his authority and power to influence his credibility. These statements are simply not true. Undocumented immigrants do not contribute to the crime rate in the United States. In fact, immigrants, including undocumented citizens, are less likely to commit crimes than U.S. born counterparts. Statistics provided by the American Immigration Council indicated that in 1980, 6.2% of the U.S. population were made up of immigrants, and the crime rate was 5,900 crimes per 100,000 people. The immigrant population doubled by 2022, and the total crime rate had dropped by 60.4% to 2,335 crimes per 100,000 people. The U.S. Census Bureau researched relationships of total crime rates between immigrants by state level as well. All 50 states have indicated that there was no connection between the immigrant population and higher crime rates involved within the state. If the executive order policy were to be imposed, innocent families would be broken. U.S. born children would be separated from their parents and siblings that were not born in the U.S. Not only will family be separated, but nurses, teachers, caregivers, construction, agriculture, and other essential workers who qualify as undocumented will be at risk from deportation. A middle school teacher in Miami-Dade County is an example of the injustices that President Trump's administration attempts to impose. The Miami-Dade middle school teacher, unnamed for anonymity reasons, was detained by ICE during a routine immigration hearing and eventually deported to Honduras. Though he did not have any documents on him at the moment, he was a DACA recipient. Regardless of his status, he was still deported, and the school district did not receive any notification from the Department of Homeland Security. Rather than implementing policies that directly contribute to households and communities being broken, the government should create policies to those that are already in the United States seeking asylum. Before the Trump administration, programs such as DACA, employment-based visas, temporary protected status, and the H-2A programs provided undocumented immigrants an opportunity to work in the U.S. legally. Employment-based programs such as the H-2A agriculture program and employment-based visas help stimulate the United States economy while maintaining legality for those considered undocumented. Programs such as DACA provide undocumented citizens that are under 31 years old on June 15, 2012 and have resided in the U.S. since June 15, 2007 an opportunity to lawfully reside in the U.S. to work. DACA employment, just like employment-based visas, helps contribute to the U.S. economy as well. Some Americans that support the executive order argue that undocumented immigrants do not pay taxes. However, undocumented immigrants pay $25.7 billion in Social Security taxes, $6.4 billion in Medicare taxes, and $1.8 billion in unemployment insurance in 2022, which are all programs that they are ineligible for. Though America is supposed to be representative for freedom, the country does inherently root in areas of oppression. America was emancipated from the United Kingdom in the late 1700s, paving the way for freedoms and rights undoctorated for those residing in the new found nation. However, these rights and freedoms were not extended to slaves, minority, women, or immigrants. White rights for those that were not extended to had to be fought for. The Civil War was a major battle between the North and the South on the issue for rights for slaves. Slaves were later emancipated by the Lincoln administration within the Emancipation Proclamation. Though slaves were freed, Black Americans still faced struggles in racism, discrimination, and prejudice until the Civil Rights Movement through the 60s. Women faced discrimination until the 19th Amendment was ratified to the U.S. Constitution in the 1920s. These are all examples of America's prejudice roots, and it follows directly towards undocumented citizens in this modern age. Overall, The U.S. government should be adopting policies that help undocumented immigrants seeking asylum instead of deporting them. Mass deportations will only tear families apart and affect the U.S. economy into a negative turnout. Undocumented immigrants contribute to the economy while paying taxes. Even though they do not qualify for most state programs, America is a land of opportunity and a country founded on immigration. Pushing undocumented immigrants will only contribute to an unethical image of the United States being a land of oppression. Instead, America should be a proud nation that should serve to embrace the justice of freedom for those that seek asylum as the land of opportunity. That is my debate speech for President Trump's policy on his executive order of 14159. I hope you guys learned something new, and I appreciate your time in listening to this discussion. Thank you so much.